conversations around things that have to do with the residents of the FCT. I'm not alone in the studio this morning. You can go to our streaming platforms on Facebook and YouTube at Nigeria Info Abuja to see just who, the heavyweights that are with me in the studio on Town Hall this morning are elders, starting from the one and only Mazi.
We never have you.
With his two-man.
Thank you.
Mazi, you're intimidating us, please. Please take it easy. Remain for us, the younger ones that are coming behind. Good morning to you, Mazi Destiny. Good to have you here.
Auntie Somi. Good morning, man. Good morning, Abuja.
Yes, indeed. And we also have with us in the studio our is it how new are you as an elder, or is it that you are honorary elder?
He's been part of us.
He has.
He's not new elder, but fresh elder.
Okay. But we can expect you every Monday now, sir.
Of
right?
course,
Here
of
to
course.
stay. Okay, fantastic.
It's been my tight schedule. Otherwise, I'll always be here.
All right, Honorable Ezekiwl Dalhatu Musa here with us. One of our elders in the studio this morning, talking all things Town Hall. All things Town Hall. That's our conversation this morning. Two things, as a matter of fact. You know, it's all about what's happening in the FCT. I will start with the first one, which has to do with some of the first people to be in the FCT are told, people that we came to meet, the indigents. We've been talking very much on matters concerning indigents in the last 2 or 3 town hall meetings, as God will have it. The 9th of August was International Day of Indigenous People. What better way to acknowledge and respect and also be more aware of the rights of indigenous people. I think this year's on for 2025, the theme is empowering indigenous voices, promoting indigenous rights, and preserving culture. All key elements of even some of the conversations we have been having, because first and foremost, there's a thing about their voice. Are they seen to have a voice here in the FCT? Honorable Ezekiwl Dalhatu has tried, on many occasions to say, okay, these are the things that they are crying for, these are the things that they're asking for, so trying to ensure that they have a voice and they have representation. There is also promoting their rights, which we know that to a large extent, I don't even know if some of them are even aware of the rights that they have as indigents in the FCT, but where there is lack of awareness, even to people who are not indigents, who are now residents in the FCT, efforts is always being made to say, these are the rights of these people. You can't just toss them out and all of that, and also preserving culture. I think that one was particularly interesting because just last week, when we were talking about ways around issues of demolitions and compensation and the likes, I think Honorable mentioned it as well as our guest, Mr. Madaki, who was with us in the studio, citing examples from different parts of the world where they have ways of preserving, a certain part of the city or the community or whatsoever, so that it is a point of heritage. You can go back and say, this is the culture of the people of this land, and we can learn from it, even turn it into something that becomes an attraction for people to go and see. So these are basically the themes for the World International Day of Indigenous People, which held on the 9th. 9th was Saturday. The 9th was Saturday. Interestingly, Honorable Dalhatu was at that event, and he gave a speech. As a matter of fact, let me see. I'll just quote it very quickly. One thing that you mentioned there was that FCT natives should take control of their destiny. That was the statement that you made, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to touch very briefly on, like I said, we've been having these conversations in the past couple of Mondays. So we're going to touch very briefly what are the things that we can take into the next year before the next commemoration of this day. And then we'll go and have a conversation around tackling waste management in the FCT. That one too is touching everybody, indigent, non-indigent, big man, small man, because before where it was a case of you see it in the suburbs of the satellite towns, now there are waste heaps everywhere from Utako to Jabi to Jiko Ikaru and all of that. So we'll get to that. But very quickly, your thoughts on International Day of Indigenous People, the learning points for us here in the FCT, and then we'll move to waste management.
Thank you very much, Somi. Mazi, the senior elder.
Elder of elder.
The senior uniform.
Welcome, sir.
Right. Let me thank Nigerians for their support, because a lot of them are very, very receptive and supportive in terms of joining us to fight injustice, because in a layman palace, it is usually said that injustice to one is injustice to all. And I keep saying it any day and time that from my research, my own little way, I got to understand that the only weapon that have been used so far, right from the existence of mankind, has never been ballistic missiles. I've never been the what's it called now, the iron dome. I've never been the fighter jets, F-18 and all of that. But what has won war ever the existence of humankind is justice. With justice, there will be no war. With injustice, there will be war. And it's why it's important for all of us as Nigerians, mean well for this country, to fight injustice in its entirety just outside. We'll gather and fight it. Just citing it somewhere. All of us should gather and fight it, because that is what will bring anarchy. That is what will bring civil unrest. That is what will not bring development anywhere. As at a point, people are thriving, thinking they are thriving with injustice. I call it progression in error. They are progressing in, being it government, being it private sector, whoever thinks he has the power to emasculate people's right, trample upon their right, because he has all the arsenals in his... he may think he's enjoying it, but he's progressing in error. And so you can see the difference with us and other clients.
Us being who now?
Nigerians.
Okay.
And African.
Is this in respect to how we treat our indigenes?
Oh, I'm getting there.
Okay.
This World Indigenous Day was declared in December 1994 by United Nations, basically to promote and protect the rights of the indigenous people, because in their wisdom they know they are usually under pressure by other super beings or citizens around the world, and so their rights need to be protected. In their wisdom, they know that whatever you have today originated somewhere. You should know too well that there is no any culture that is older than human. There is no culture that is older than human. And so that humanity is what depicts culture, because it expresses and displaces your identity. And so they are very deliberate in protecting the original. Do you get what I mean? The original is the identity, is the culture that you have. So they are very deliberate in preserving this culture. So when they are preserving the indigenous people, their main target is to ensure that their identity is not being eroded. They don't take these rich cultural values to go extinct. So that's why this declaration was made in 1994 by United Nations. And they are very, very committed and deliberate about it. What happens back home here is deliberate effort to take away all the cultural identities that we have. Show me one aspect, show me one effort that you are seeing government being genuine and deliberate about protecting and preserving the indigenous people.
So for me, the conversation will be, when you say they're deliberate, what do they stand to gain from deliberately doing that? Or is it is it a thing of ignorance? I want Mazi to help me at this point in time, because what really do you gain by deliberately eroding culture, history, traditions as far as some of these indigenous communities are concerned. I don't know, is it really just that deliberate? What do they stand to gain? Or is it just ignorance, really? Which one would you think it is, Mazi?
Number one, this issue, when you sent it, went through a few things, then I also had to think, through the topic as well. Number one, I do not think that this is me. I do not think that, United Nations should be the one telling us, about Igbos, Yorubas, Baggies, thieves, protect your identity as well. I think that for us as, let's say, Nigerian as a nation, we ought to find a way to protect our various cultural and traditional whatever, because that is our identity. However, this same United Nations that is, pushing this program and we are following, because one of the things I saw there is this climate change, which is okay, because we've seen a few things that really showing that, yes, there are changes. But at the same time, I see some kind of hypocrisy, because the people who determine what happens in that United Nations, they are still the world powers, the West as well. It is not only government here now that has tried to erode our various cultures, our identity, and so on. Take, for instance, as we are in FCT now. I want to ask this question, even my honorable here. How many of the Baggies still bear the real Baggy name? That is not influenced by either Christianity or Islam? I said something somewhere in a platform where I come from. I said it should be a crime for a traditional ruler to identify with any religion, because what is tradition? What is culture? People's way of life. Is your language, your identity. But today you have an Igbe in Igbo land who is really born again, preaching with Bible, when meanwhile you are supposed to, follow your own people's way. I come from a royal home. I was discussing with a few elders. I say one of the ways to, if we want to preserve our culture, our tradition, nobody should be a king because I want to. It's my turn. You need to understand, what does it take to be a traditional ruler? It is his job to protect our tradition, protect our heritage, protect our identity. Now, when you know what it means that even your forefathers' ways of worship, whichever God they worship, is still part of your culture, your tradition. Because if you check years back, your great-grandfathers, yes, they didn't follow you to go to church or mosque, but they still lived long. They were okay with the technology we had then, with whatever knowledge. They functioned. They were able to eat. Yes, today, the world has evolved. You understand what I'm saying? So most times, it is not just government deliberately, because while we are talking about FCT now, most of the things that is going on, you remember the day I mentioned the last Monday when I said that, like Baggies, I have a few Baggy friends that you go to some places, they, this big mango tree, they will gather under there, you can sharp and wine together, you find the pots that they used to cook, stay under there. That is their way of life. I've seen where they will visit, their women will lie, big mat, like all of them will sit down there. Maybe somebody gave birth to show support. You find them around. Have you gone to hospital and say, maybe a white woman wants to give? Almost the entire village will empty in that hospital. That is showing support. It is part of their life. So the person who is going through labor pain, won't feel alone. When she turns, she can hear Mama Isaiah's voice. You will hear Mama Musa's voice. And that gives her strength that my people are here. The last time I had my baby, like how many years? 6 years ago, or 6 years plus now.
Mama
Since
I don't know that name.
I was going to ask about Mama Isaiah because the way you were going, it's like they should have their names.
No, since I don't know much.
Should not have any other thing else outside of their culture.
So now, at Abuja General Hospital, a particular woman was, in the labor room, and they needed a rapper. When we came there, like 8 women were out there, and they came for that particular woman. When they now needed rapper, the husband forgot to put that. One of them quickly removed that, gave. That is their culture. That is their own way of life. So when we talk about this, it should be holistic. The reason why I'm saying this is this. It might be a discussion for a bigger stage, but since we are in FCT, government is the one that is dealing with, let's say, our baggy people who are our landlords here, who are the real owners of this particular place. Because when you keep giving land, you just want to sell land to me, maybe as an estate developer, an entire community, you empty them, you move them from here. Remember I mentioned the issue of, grapes, your forefathers' grapes. What happens to them? If they don't move, you don't plan well for them to relocate. It takes time. You understand?
Yeah.
Now you can't move the graves. You can exhume whatever you have. We are relocating. You plan it well. So that all those, whatever thing that shows how they live their own life, you preserve them. So every day, if government will roll out millions of naira or billions to say we are celebrating World Indigenous Day, and if you read from what United Nations posted there, part of them is their culture and heritage. There is hypocrisy. If you are deliberately cutting down their trees, the kind of thing they eat, the way they live their life, and then you are still spending billions, I would just say that you're just a hypocrite, because on the other hand, you're destroying their culture, their heritage, their identity. On the other hand, you are spending millions, say you're promoting their rights. They don't have rights. If not this Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who even tried to appoint one of their own as a minister. It has never happened. I will be shouting about that. So you want to tell me that all the baggies, they don't have brain? None of them is qualified to be a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, let alone even becoming a governor. I don't like tribe and this thing, because in most times in Nigeria, we go to the extreme with everything. I also think that part of this, the day I traveled to Bauchi, Darazo, where they call Darazo, in Bauchi, and my friend took me to a local market there. I saw a guy who is actually from my place. There is nothing you can do to bring that guy back to Igbo land. He has turned to a full Bauchi guy. He's married there. They've given him land. He's part of them. When I entered and the guy said, "This is your brother," and he spoke, I was like, "Are you an Igbo man?" He said, "I say, so you don't want to?" He said, "I'm happy here. I'm okay." So I also think, in as much as we do that, let us also find a way for those who maybe life happened to somebody, you relocated to a particular place. Let's also learn to, suck in our own. If I like this FCT, and in fact, on Saturday when I went to cut my hair, I met an Igbo guy who somebody asked him, "Your wife is from where?" He said, "Oh man, God give me this thing." So I was still trying to tell him, "Now you use your hand, right? Leave." I said, "Okay, where is your wife?" He says, "Baggy is baggy." So the Baba now say, "They allow you marry." I said, "What do you mean? They have a lot of women." And even my friend Joshua, maybe you might know him, he's the PDP guy. The person that married his daughter is from Delta State. Their women are nice. So wherever you find, see part of that thing I'm saying. Now you have that mindset, like it's only Baggy should marry Baggy, an Igbo man, and now he's a happy guy. So when we are trying to say we want to preserve our culture, because the thing that got me a little bit upset was when I was reading about the reason why they stopped this, and you say preserve their culture and this thing. Government is doing their own, but on the other hand, we too must do what we can to preserve our culture, preserve our identity, because that is your identity. You can see from my name that something is happened to my own name.
Mazi, so Mazi, you said a few things. I'm coming back to you, Honorable Ezekiwl.
Yeah.
But you said a few things.
Yeah.
You said, okay, on the part of government, because that was the question I asked you, right? Because Honorable Ezekiwl had said, government is deliberately doing away with these things. On the area of land, to an extent, we can say, okay, yes, there is that move that does not consider them as they should be, whether it's in compensation, relocation, reintegration, and all of that. There is that is happening. But in terms of cultural preservation, preservation of their heritage, you started by saying that there are things that we should do on our own
to preserve.
But at the same time, you ended up talking about, cross
marriage stuff.
I didn't want to use the word breeding.
You said cross what?
No, intermarrying and all of that. Isn't it a bit of a complex thing? How do you preserve when at the same time you're called to? I mean, the circumstance will happen and life will happen where you have to intermarry. How do you preserve in all of
Somi,
that?
that was why I said,
because you were even tackling their traditional rulers. That are in
different religions.
Other religions.
Yes.
You want them to be babalawos and
it is not being a traditionalist. Take for instance now, even the traditional destiny, I don't believe in anyone. Do you understand me?
Believe in anyone.
However, what I
Are
believe
you
in,
confused?
what I,
Honorable,
be-
don't
what
worry.
I believe
you will
in,
come, you understand that part about Mazi
what
very
I
soon.
believe in is
Yes.
this. Let's say like 150 years ago, none of us here was here, right? Our forefathers then, maybe in my own village, maybe Christianity wasn't there then. Maybe your own, they've not seen Islam or Christianity.
Yeah.
But you had your people who lived well. They went to their farm. They had a way to take care of themselves when they foresee. They know the herbs that they can pick. And, oh, this is what you are feeling. You can take this herb. That is also part of that culture. There's their own medical science. Right? And they lived longer than we.
Which is the original. But,
do you understand me? No, the reason why I'm coming, sir, you know why I said that? You cannot, if you are talking about preserving people's culture, it should be holistic. Whether their own language, do you know there are parts of this country you go to, those people, their culture is almost gone. Maybe whatever religion that came in there has actually taken over everything. You can hardly remember them bear their real name.
But why are you chalking it up to religion strictly?
No, not really religion. I'm saying is part of, okay, take for instance now, Chinese as well. No matter where they go to, it's still their language. In most of their schools, they teach them in their local language.
So that's what I'm saying, Mazi. It is as a result of the people and decisions they decided to make, sometimes how far they've decided to evolve outside of themselves and all of that. So I brought you back to that place because you started by saying that there's a role that the people play, but we'll need to break down that role exactly and then wrap this up so that we can move into our conversation on environment. And for you also, Honorable Ezekiwl, you talked about justice. What does giving justice to indigenous people in the FCT look like? Those are the areas that we'll come back, focus on, and then we'll wrap it up so that we can move into it. You see, because this part about the waste management and tackling waste in the FCT
is important.
we need to get to it. I remember asking a question a little while ago before I went and did my own research and all of that to say, how far does the arm of AEPB extend when it comes to cleaning up? And someone has said, oh, they're supposed to cover everywhere. But I have a statement to the contrary. So we'll look into all of that so that we can address all issues from their root and wrap it up. Stay with us. It's still Townhall on 95.1 Nigeria Info. We'll be back.
is Nigeria Info.
Number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info.
And we are back on Town Hall this lovely Monday morning. It is the 11th of August, 2025. And we started our conversation this morning by acknowledging what happened 2 days ago, International Day of Indigenous People, and Mazi, Destiny Anthony, Elder, as well as Elder Ezekiwl, Dalhatu, Musa, or in some corners, he's referred to as comrade. As a matter of fact, when it comes to that area, he is the leader of the coalition of original inhabitants of Abuja. Then.
Yeah.
Oh, not any.
No, I'm now a spokesperson for the Stakeholders Assembly.
Oh, okay, Stakeholders Assembly of the Indigenous.
Yes.
Or FCT in general, not just the Indigenous.
FCT in general.
In general.
Yeah.
Okay. You wear many hats, sir. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're trying to bring this conversation to close, the first part of our town hall conversation this morning, and also take some calls because the phone lines are buzzing. We're hoping that a lot of the indigenous inhabitants who are listening will check in with us this morning. Mazi has said a few things. Honorable Ezekiwl has said a few things. I'll come to Honorable Ezekiwl and have him wrap up. The question was, what does giving justice to the indigenous inhabitants of the FCT look like? What are the itemized things that we need to do so that we can start working towards it? And then come back to Mazi to wrap up, on the conversation around what the people themselves can do. We know the part that government has played that is not favorable to the indigents. There are laws of the land that guide how they should be treated and all of that. So it's simply a matter of the law and all of that. But for the indigenous themselves, and we who are also here in the FCT, what does preserving the culture look like? That's where Mazi will help us wrap up. But with you.
Just like Mazi was saying, I understand the line he was actually towing. Mazi was very committed to saying the truth with concern to preserving our culture. I think that was just the icing on the cake on all he was saying when he's talking about religion. We should go back to the root and all of that. The major thing there is for us to actually be very, very deliberate in preserving our culture.
What does the roots of a baggy person's culture look like? And I will also ask, because I remember while you were at making your speech on the 9th a couple of days ago, you mentioned different other tribes apart from Bagi.
Yeah,
that's
nine
another
indigenous tribes.
that's another thing that people don't know. Some people don't know. Once they think indigenous, they just think Bagi.
Yeah.
There are other tribes in the
yeah,
FCT.
within-
So
yeah.
what does going back to the root look like for them? That was supposed to be Mazi's point, but I'll allow you to touch on that then. Please tell us what justice looks like.
Generally, not really
Okay.
just
Okay.
dwelling on what's the root and all of because of time frame. And when I talk about justice to the indigenous people of the FCT, which you just mentioned, the 9 indigenous tribes, and yesterday, if you listen to my speech, I was very, very emphatical about how did the FCT comes about. We are talking about 49 years back. And there is no any of this community existed less than 100 years. So if you put side by side the capital city, FCT, and the indigenous people who comes first, so you have no name in Abuja here that fall from heaven. Any name of any place is indigenous. Is it Maitama? Is it Gariki? Is it Pei? Is it Kabusa? Is it Buhari?
Asokoro.
Is it Asokoro? Is it Use? Is it Kubwa? Is it Kukwaba? Is it Galadima here? Or later? Is it Shere? Is it Almamagi? Is it Rubochi? Is it Gwargwada? Is it Daraka? All these names did not fall from heaven. It means there were people existing here. When Aguda panel came to take survey of what is on the 8,000 kilometers square, his reports has it that there were 858 communities existing, and 9 indigenous tribes. Not that you will not meet Igbo or Igbo man doing his business here then, or Yoruba, some of them, or Hausa, no, or Fulani doing grazing. You met them, but the instruction was very clear that the 3 major tribes should not be captured in that report, which is Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, because they are predominant in this country. The indigenous people who have ancestral tie that you cannot trace to any other place aside here. That's the 9 indigenous tribes.
Bagi and which other ones?
Bagi, Bari, Gwandara, Gede, Amwa, Igbira, Koro. Have I mentioned Gwandara?
Yeah.
I've mentioned Basa, you know. And then I think that is it.
Okay.
Bari, Bagi, Basa, Amwa, Igbira, Koro, Gwandara, Basa, and then
I'm saying
Ghana.
Okay.
So
this Basa, are they not also in Niger State?
Yes, of
Basa in
course.
Niger.
If
And
you
Igbira
remember,
and Kogi.
this place called FCT was
Yes.
carved out from Niger, Nasarawa, part of Kaduna, and then Kogi, which was then Kwara. And so these people, this is where they are found, and you can actually not trace them to any other place apart from this. So now, if you have these rich cultural values of the people and these names you have, Metama location, now we have Metama 2. When you go to Metama 2, you would think, is this normal Metama? You are going after Papi, boundary with Nasarawa State.
Nasarawa, yeah.
But they are using that name because if you say you are having a land in Metama 2, it sounds very
big,
you know, and then the
value.
amount of money of the land you buy there. So you have a Metama 2, for instance. You have a Guzape 2 now. We also now have Guzape 2 going on
a super
location.
extension.
Now, all these names are names of the indigenous communities.
So what does
So me,
justice for
tell
them
me
look
for
like?
free.
Yes.
Go and check we have what they call FOI. You are media people.
Freedom of information.
You have right to seek for information. Go and get the names of those allottees. How many are indigenous?
So
Now,
with justice for them,
I'm still on, please.
okay.
Now, how many of them are names of allottees that are indigenous people? Secondly, Metama is fully developed as it is, and Asokoro. And this name, Metama, Asokoro, and all of those, they were indigenous communities. The Metama originally, people who were there, have now been moved to Kubwa. By force, by fire, by force. Now, they have left this place called Metama and is fully built and developed. So me, go to Metama. How many streets are named after the indigenous people of the FCT? I'm talking about when I say government should be deliberate in preserving the cultural identity of the indigenous people. These are some of the issues.
Okay.
Go to Ido Seriki. Just last week, they ran to me that Navy have called them again. And what are Navy saying? Navy is announcing to them again. Remember, I raised it here when I was Commissioner Public Complaint with pictorial evidence where Navy just wake up overnight, went and planted signposts, and is reading, this property belong to Nigerian Navy. Pack your properties and leave. Otherwise, everything will be demolished immediately. I tackled that issue up to the Minister of FCT, and he called for a meeting and asked for restraint. The matter is before National Assembly. To me, as I speak, just last week, they ran to me and said Navy called them and announced to them that even the farmlands that they go to farm, that this year, nobody should go there anymore. That they are coming to take over the farmland and they are interested in farming. Navy, interested in farming. I will bring the traditional rulers here and the community leaders. Let them even tell you by themselves that they should not go to farm this year. Warning. And again, that even the community where they are living, they are giving them 2 weeks to pack. Otherwise, they are coming to demolish the community. Just last week. And Nigerian Navy is a government agent. They are government. Are they deliberate in preserving the culture, or they are deliberate in destroying it?
As at the last time, when this
destroying
got
the
to the
indigenous
National
communities.
Assembly, what was the
National
state of
Assembly
things?
have asked for restraint, told the Navy clearly to stop anything forthwith on that community until they finish whatever they are doing. And I told you here over and over, even at the National Assembly, they were asked to present their letter of allocation of that land. They don't have. When I dragged this issue up to the minister's office, the current minister, Nweso Wike, the performing minister, I dragged this matter up to his office and he invited all of them on the table. And before him, he asked a simple question. Do you have an allocation to that place? They say yes. He said present it. They never did.
Okay, so
they don't even have an allocation.
So if they don't, it's a simple matter of who are the enforcement agencies that will ensure that the Navy does not.
Now,
as you said, that they don't have.
The same people who are law enforcement agents are the same people who are going to show for. You think if they don't have uniform and gun, they can confidently walk to that community and announce to them to leave their farmland where they are earning a living, where they have money to pay school fees because government don't care if their children are in school, where they have money to eat, where they have money to treat themselves because there is no any free health care for any indigenous person. They will have confidence to go to the community, drive into the community and announce to them, leave farmland and leave your community and still drive out successfully if they were not wearing uniform and gone.
So the question, sir, because we have to get to the end of this matter at some point. Justice, preservation
That
of...
is the point.
So, for this to not happen, now we're using the Ido-Sariki community
and so many
the
other
template.
communities that
Yes,
have been
yes.
intimidating.
So, no. For example, now this particular one, we had a number of them. We've talked about the Karsana and all of that.
Thank you.
What does justice look like for this particular community? Because we're saying that it is uniformed personnel. We're saying that they don't have allocation. They must have some kind of. They must have some kind of. They must have some kind of backup for them to be able to go in.
You don't need any lecture. I've had even the FCT minister on tape. I have watched him on Channels Television. I think when he came, not up to 5-6 months, complaining himself that the military, the army, are grabbing land. I had it. Even in that meeting, he said, you people have gone to one land that we're about to develop and you chase away our contractors on the land. So me, what I'm saying is,
yes,
this is the kind of thing we have in this country, which is not supposed to be.
Yes. Now.
The justice here
yes.
is, why do you go to dislodge people on their own ancestral land? And the justice here is Minister of FCT, who is a custodian of the land, officially and empowered by the Constitution to rise into the occasion.
So, for example, the Ido-Sariki case now, this, according to what you said, they've come back, the people came crying to you and all of that. If the minister moves and stops it, it will not happen, right? Them taking over the land. That's all.
Of course.
That's all.
Of course.
Okay. So
and he's aware of this.
That's what we're asking. So it's a question of, will he move or not?
But that question should not even arise because he ought to move.
That's what I'm saying.
That
now.
is his constitutional mandate. He is there to protect the citizen of this country. Except if he is saying that people should take law into their hands, which nobody wants to see that.
Of course not. That's what we're saying.
You know what happened?
Last
year, you knew what happened in Niger Delta.
If the end of this
when
matter,
we had some killings
Honorable
and
Musa,
all of that,
if the
because
end of this
the military
matter,
went, I know they said they went to settle land dispute, but the people, you knew what happened. So if the kind of thing we want to happen in FCT,
it's a clear case of we know what to do, and that we do it. That's why I just want to understand from the point of the indigenous people who is the final say on this, who is the final matter. It doesn't matter who is trying to intimidate or remove them from land or whatever. I mean, we'll still have the conversation around the Karsana people. We know the developer and all of that. It's a question of who is giving them approval to move, because if they don't, if they are made to not moving, then they would not move, and that's where we should take it up to. So if you say it's the FCT minister, we'll take it up to the FCT minister's table, and we'll continue to call that he steps into all of these instances and ensure that
the
these
other
people's
structure you see
lives are
opposite the
preserved.
University of Abuja by army. You know that place I told you here before.
Yeah,
they
that
have
case
subdivided it to themselves. The army, the air force, the navy. Even the one you see opposite Abuja, the rest of it with all structure everywhere. I asked them one day, development control, you say nobody should build in Abuja without your approval, building approval. Did you approve this building?
So
they say no.
I've said this before.
So,
I've said this before. There is always authorization for these kinds of things.
No. Somi, let me tell you for free.
When I say authorization, it may not necessarily come from the office, but I take the
It should come from where?
I know what I'm saying. What happens as opposed to what is ideal. If you look at the Kasana instance, when they were asked, they said order from above. My issue has always been let's trace above. And bring above into the conversation and get above to do what is supposed to be done.
If you check Karasana issue, you know it has slowed down. And I've told you here last time that the developer with the AMAC chairman were very working together to resolve that. Nothing is happening there again by pushing anybody by force. You know why? He's a civilian.
But it kind of happened with Ido Sariki, right? At some point there was intervention,
you know why Ido
and things
Sariki
slowed
issue
down.
is not dying off? These are uniform men with gun. That we, the taxpayers' money, is what they are using to intimidate people.
I hear you, Honorable Ezekiwl.
And this should stop.
We are saying the
Minister
same.
should please rise to the occasion.
So
stop it.
We are saying the same thing, and that is why we will continue to take it to the place where the buck stops.
Thank you.
In each
Thank you.
instance,
Thank you.
where does the buck stop? If this one is minister's table, we take it up with minister and we continue to push.
And that is it.
So that their lives
And
are
that is
preserved.
it. That
And
is
I've said before, there are laws in place. Sometimes it's a case of we don't even know the laws that are in place to preserve and protect the rights of these people. And so we are acting largely out of ignorance. And some of these people who are doing these things are taking advantage of the ignorance ourselves, which is why there is a place for what the people themselves can do. Your speech on the 9th, what you were saying, you said they should take control of their destiny. That's how it was tagged here.
No.
Because you're all over the dailies from that event. That's where I got the comrade name and all of that.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we make statements to try and solve a problem, we don't break it down, which has been the entire purpose of the conversation we're having on this indigenous today.
Yeah.
Break it down. When I say what does it look like, you break it down. When I say what does preserving the culture look like, we break it down.
Yeah.
I think we've done the much that we can do with the time that we have, because we need to move to the environment conversation.
But on that statement you just talked about,
yes,
when you have a people, just like you said, that are sometimes not aware of their rights and how best to go about it, and the commitment they need to also put in place to help in checking some of these ills that is befalling them. That's what I mean by we need to be deliberate in taking. We have a destiny here. We don't have any other future aside FCT. So sitting on the fence, despondencies, complacency is what I encourage that we should stop. Because you have even people in position of power here in FCT who don't see a commitment to some of this plight. And I challenge them that I say, we need to really come together, take this in our hands, not take law into your hand. So in case a layman somewhere don't understand what it means we need to have a concerted effort that we all have to come together. And even other Nigerians who are not indigenous should see this as they apply it too. Because I've said it over and over that what brings peace, development, and growth is justice.
Okay. All right, thank you. Mazi, any final words on this before we move
okay,
on?
on the culture thing, just
Yes.
like what can they do?
Yes.
Okay, we can start by number one. Take for instance, we have our primary schools. I always say that local government institution, government is actually closest to the people than the state and the federal. Take for instance our primary schools. Our children might need to start wearing our cultural whatever to school as uniform. It is part of it. There's nothing wrong. And homeward, if you go to Abuja State, there's where they call Akwete, where they make the safe fabric. Well, you can start patronizing it. We even help boost our economy. Go to Benue, they have their own. That is their own clothes. Why would you be importing clothes from China and India, and then our children? So how are you now helping to promote the culture? That's why I keep saying that most of these people, they are hypocrites. If United Nations, they are serious about it, encourage your school. There's nothing wrong in wearing your baggy dress, your Igbo dress, your Ibira dress to your school. There is nothing wrong in that. It doesn't stop you from learning.
But it's not the United Nations that takes decisions on what they wear. It's the people in the community.
They are talking about promoting. I'm just saying one of the ways you can promote that culture. You can. You go to banks. Everybody is on coat and tie, even when the weather is hot.
But it's the bank that decides. That's what I'm saying. These institutions, these communities, are they not the ones that come up with? I've worked in places where they will say Monday to Friday.
If you go to the supermarket that is close to my place there, once you see their women walking into shop, they wear that their Indian whatever.
No, sorry.
You see their men with their this and put some of those their things. It's some of us that will start reading this and they draw something like snake. Is this evil spirit or something? No, that is the way they dress. That's their own culture. So we can start that way.
Encouraging it and it's good.
Encouraging
No, I'm not against it.
Secondly,
Mazi is taking it out on the UN. That's what I'm saying. Is it the UN?
No, I know what I'm saying.
Mazi, before you continue, even for the UN, let me tell you, if you check, just Google and see what they are doing very committedly to ensure that they help even us here to preserve our
As we don't want to
now,
help
as I
ourselves.
speak to you, Mazi, please, let me give you an example. There is this Christ said, Makato Foundation. They have taken the 9
I've heard
indigenous
about
tribes, promoting them, giving them funds to preserve their this lad equally poured, then their cultural attire, how to weave it. It is Makato Foundation that is sponsoring, not Nigerian government, not art and culture that we have. Go to art and culture, you barely can see the 9 indigenous tribe symbols.
And then there is also nothing wrong in teaching some subjects in your local language. Go to China, they don't teach you physics, chemistry, and biology in English. They teach them in their language. It's even easier for a child to assimilate that knowledge than you, because number one, English first is foreign. I have to learn English well enough to now understand what you're saying in physics. If you go to some places in Southwest, there are children, they've lived in that environment. Even when they speak, you still see that Yoruba, this thing. Stop shaming those children. Start making them look like you are not intelligent. No, it's just his language.
Some schools will actually punish them and say they are speaking vernacular.
So that's what I'm saying. We are not serious. In my own, I'm speaking my own native tongue, my mother tongue, and you're saying it's vernacular.
Mazi, when colonization didn't work, this is the neo-colonialism. Using language to take your own estate.
We must sit up, learn from China, learn from India, even in some of these European countries, Germany and so on. They teach with their own. That's why most of our people, you go there, you learn the language first, that before you start going for any other course you want to do.
Yeah.
So if we are serious, start from primary education.
Okay.
And then we need to bring back history.
Remember, it's cultural preservation, protection, and promotion.
So you need to bring back history also. Why did they even remove it from this thing? So we need to bring this out. This will even help children to know where we are coming from.
Yeah.
This is, my own heritage. How my forefathers, the way they.
Somi, please go to Asokoro and see how many indigenous name of the streets do you have?
None. All of them some foreign names.
So
some
are we
not
preserving? Are we protecting anything here? We need to be deliberating. about.
Okay, let's be deliberate. I would just add, I think if really and truly we mean to do this, there's some even within the family system, you can decide that there are aspects of you, aspects of your culture, aspects of your tradition that you do not let go of.
Yeah.
It's interesting that so many of us sit down and have conversations and bash Kemi Badnoch, but even within our Nigeria here, we are our own Kemi Badnoch. So there are people who have decided, I don't want my children to bear native names. I don't want my children to go to the village. I don't want parents are not even telling their children about how it is when they grew up, in the villages and all of that. And yes, some of them you can chalk it up to insecurity and all of that, but there are still people that will say, no matter what, I will raise my children, on our native tongue. And no matter where it is in the world, we would always speak that. There are people who have let go of everything that has to do with their culture and tradition too, which is also, I think, is an area that
please we can look at. Blame
you were talking about the baggy. You're talking about the baggy people. There are some baggy people that you will not know that they are baggy.
Yeah, even by their name, even though, it's unfortunate.
Though we are working hard to ensure that it stops.
Yeah.
So I think the holistic thing, really and truly, from the government to the foundations to the homes, everybody, we have our part to play.
Those who have money, it's not the MacArthur Foundation you mentioned. It's a foreign this thing now. So our Liko Dankotes, our $10 and so on, they need to bring their own money and do the Ambua.
The Destiny Anthony's and the Ezekiwl Dalhatu. All of us. We won't be waiting for big money. We'll come back after the news to wrap up on the environmental aspect of our conversation on Town Hall this morning. Do stay with us.
News and sport. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.